Welcome to my channel, Unleash Your English, my friends. Have you ever understood English but couldn't speak it? You know what to say, but the words just don't come out. I was like that too. Maybe it's your problem as well. I tried for years and failed many times. But then I found a simple way that changed everything. In just 5 months, I became confident in English. And in this video, I'll show you exactly how I did it. Stay till the end, because if you've ever felt stuck or afraid to speak, this story will show you that you can change too. Your English dream is closer than you think. Chapter 1. The moment I realized English was my key. There was a time when I could not say even one full sentence in English. I knew some words, but when I tried to speak, everything disappeared. My heart used to beat fast whenever someone spoke English around me. I wanted to reply, but my tongue felt locked. That silence hurt more than anything. One day, I looked at myself in the mirror and asked, "Why am I afraid of this language?" That question changed my life. I remember the exact day. I was at a small shop, and a tourist asked me something simple in English. I understood half of it, but I could not answer. I smiled awkwardly, hoping they would understand. But they didn't. When they left, I felt empty. I realized that I was missing something bigger than grammar or vocabulary. I was missing confidence, courage, and consistency. That moment became my turning point. I promised myself that I would never feel helpless again because of language. That night, I sat on my bed and thought deeply. I didn't have a teacher, I didn't have money for courses, but I had a phone and internet. I decided that if people can learn from the internet, so can I. I opened YouTube and typed, "Learn English for Beginners." I didn't understand everything, but I didn't stop. I just listened. That was the first step, the first spark, the first decision that would change everything in the next 5 months. From that day, English became my goal. I told myself, even if I learn one new thing every day, I will improve. I started watching short videos, reading subtitles, and repeating small words. I didn't care if I looked silly. I was serious this time. Every morning, I imagined myself speaking confidently with anyone. That picture in my mind became my motivation. I also started to write my feelings in a small notebook. I wrote things like, "I will speak English. I am learning. I am improving." These small lines gave me energy. At first, I wrote with many mistakes, but I didn't care. I knew progress begins with small steps. My goal was not to be perfect. My goal was to be better than yesterday. Some people laughed at me. They said, "You can't learn English in a few months." But I smiled quietly. I didn't argue. I used their doubt as my fuel. Every word I learned became my little victory. Every small success made me believe in myself more. Slowly, I started feeling something new inside me. It was not just English, it was hope. It was courage. Learning English is not just about words. It's about changing how you see yourself. It's about proving that you can do something people think you can't. That was the moment I realized English was not just a language, it was my key to a new life. It was the door to opportunities, friends, and dreams that once felt far away. When I started, I didn't know how far I could go. But that single decision, to start that day, not tomorrow, became the foundation of my entire journey. I understood something powerful. Every learner begins as a beginner. Nobody is born fluent. Everyone starts with confusion, but those who don't quit win. That first moment of realization became the fire inside me. From that day, I promised myself that I would speak English confidently. I didn't know the path, but I knew the direction, and that was enough to begin. 5 months later, that small dream became reality. But at that moment, all I had was a heart full of belief and a simple thought. If others can do it, why not me? And maybe as you're watching this, you feel the same. Maybe this is your moment too, the moment you realize English is not far away. It's waiting for you to take the first step. Chapter 2. Starting with Nothing But Hope. When I started learning English, I had almost nothing. No teacher, no partner to practice with, no special book, no expensive course. I had only my phone, a notebook, and a big dream in my heart. I remember sitting on the floor one night, watching English videos and feeling completely lost. The people spoke so fast that it sounded like one long word. I couldn't catch anything. For a moment, I felt like giving up before even starting, but something inside me whispered, "Don't stop. One day, these words will make sense." And I believed that voice. Every beginner feels lost in the beginning. You hear words, but they fly away like birds. You read sentences, but you forget them the next minute. You try to speak, and your tongue freezes. That was me too. But I learned one important thing. You don't need to understand everything. You just need to keep listening, keep trying, and keep believing that one day you will understand more than you think. In the first few weeks, I didn't study with a plan. I just surrounded myself with English. I changed my phone to English. I listened to English songs even when I couldn't catch the lyrics. I watched cartoons because they spoke slowly. I repeated words I heard again and again. Sometimes I didn't know their meaning, but I repeated them anyway. It made me feel like I was getting closer to English, little by little. Hope became my teacher. Every morning I said to myself, "I will not give up today." That small line gave me power. I started to trust the process. I knew that even a small effort every day could build something big. There were days when I felt tired and thought, "This is too hard for me." But then I remembered why I started. I wanted to understand people. I wanted to talk without fear. That dream was stronger than my doubt. At night, I used to sit quietly and imagine my future self speaking confidently. I imagined myself talking to foreigners, working in good places, helping others learn too. That vision gave me energy. It made me realize that my journey was not only about English, it was about becoming a better version of myself. One evening, I decided to test something. I stood in front of the mirror and said one line, "I am learning English." My voice was low, my pronunciation was not clear, but I smiled. It felt real. I felt proud. That one line gave me hope that I could speak more one day. It was the first time I believed that fluency was not impossible. It was just a matter of time and effort. Sometimes I repeated simple lines like, "I can do it," "I will learn," "I am improving." These lines were my daily medicine. They healed my doubt and built my confidence. People around me didn't understand why I was so positive, but I knew the secret. I was not waiting for motivation from others, I was creating my own. The truth is, hope is more powerful than any English class. When you have hope, you find your way. You find methods. You find courage. I didn't have the best tools, but I had a heart that refused to quit. That made all the difference. Day by day, something started changing. I began catching more words from songs. I started understanding small parts of videos. I could read short sentences and actually know what they meant. It was not magic. It was the result of not giving up when things looked impossible. If you are starting now and you feel lost, remember this. I was once in your place. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to understand everything. You only need to start and keep moving. One day, you will look back and smile at how far you came with nothing but hope in your heart. That hope will take you where you never thought you could go, because when you believe in yourself, even the smallest steps create the biggest change. And that's exactly what happened to me. Chapter 3. The First Week. Listening Before Speaking. The first week was the hardest, but also the most magical. I remember waking up early every day, feeling both excited and nervous. I didn't know what to do first, so I decided to do something simple. I decided to listen. Just listen. No books, no grammar, no pressure. Only my ears and my curiosity. In the beginning, everything sounded fast and confusing. The voices from YouTube videos were like waves hitting my mind. I couldn't catch every word, but I didn't stop. I told myself, even if I understand one word today, it's progress. I started small. I chose short English stories for children. They spoke slowly, and their words were clear. At first, I understood just a few things, but I listened again and again. Slowly, my brain started recognizing sounds and words that once felt impossible. Listening is powerful. It trains your ears before your mouth. I realized that children learn to listen before they speak. They listen to their parents thousands of times before saying a single word. So I decided to learn like a child again. I listened while cleaning my room, while eating, even while lying in bed. I didn't care if I understood everything. I just wanted English to enter my world. Every sound mattered. Every sentence became music. I didn't focus on meaning at first. I focused on rhythm, tone, and emotion. The more I listened, the more familiar the sounds became. My fear started to fade away. I noticed that English was not scary. It was just new. And like anything new, it becomes easier the more you hear it. I remember one morning I listened to a short motivational speech in English. I didn't understand many words, but one line stayed in my heart. Don't give up. Your time will come. I repeated that line again and again until it became part of me. That was the first sentence I truly felt in English. It made me realize that listening is not only about learning words, it's about feeling the language. Sometimes I used to close my eyes and just listen to people talk in English. I tried to guess what they meant from their tone. I noticed how they paused, how they laughed, how they said thank you really and wow. Those small sounds taught me more than any book ever could. English started to sound friendly. I could feel its music. By the end of the first week, something amazing happened. I could recognize simple words from videos and songs. I started catching phrases like, "How are you?" and "What are you doing?" I felt proud, even for understanding a few things. It showed me that listening works like magic if you do it daily. My confidence grew. I didn't need to speak yet. I was preparing my mind, my ears, and my heart. There were still moments of doubt. Sometimes I felt, will I ever speak fluently? But then I remembered how babies learn. They listen for months before they say even one word. If babies can do it, why can't I? That thought gave me strength. I made a small rule for myself. I would listen to English for at least 1 hour every day. It didn't matter if I understood everything. What mattered was that I didn't give up. I listened while walking, I listened while cooking, I listened when I felt sad. English became my companion. And then one day I repeated what I heard. Just a few words, but they came naturally, like music flowing from my lips. I smiled. That was the moment I knew I was changing. Listening had opened a door in my brain and in my heart. If you are starting your English journey, start with listening. Don't worry about mistakes or grammar. Just listen with your heart. Let English enter your mind gently. One day, you will open your mouth and the words will come out beautifully. Because everything begins with listening. Everything begins with believing that your time will come too. Chapter 4. Learning Words That Belong to My Life. After 1 week of listening, I realized something important. I didn't need to learn every English word in the world. I only needed to learn the words that belonged to my life. That small understanding changed everything for me. Before that, I was trying to memorize long vocabulary lists from books and apps. But I always forgot them the next day. They were not connected to me. They were not part of my world. One morning, I looked around my room and thought, what if I start learning English from what I see every day? So I picked up a pen and said, "This is a pen." I looked at my bed and said, "This is my bed." I touched my phone and said, "This is my phone." I smiled because I already knew more English than I thought. I didn't need a big dictionary. My house became my classroom. My daily life became my teacher. That day, I started writing a list of simple words from my room: chair, table, window, door, light, fan, book. I repeated them every morning and used them in short sentences. The fan is on. The door is closed. The book is interesting. These simple sentences gave me more power than any complicated grammar rule. I started feeling that English was not something outside of me anymore. It was inside my home. It was inside my day. Slowly, I moved from objects to actions. I learned words like eat, drink, sleep, read, write, walk, sit, stand, open, close. I used them to talk about my day. I eat breakfast. I walk to the shop. I drink water. I sleep at 10. They were simple, but they were real. They described my life. And because they were real, I remembered them easily. Every time I used a new word, I felt proud. It was like collecting small coins of success. Every word added value to my confidence. I realized that English is not about how many words you know, it's about how well you use the ones you already know. Even a small vocabulary can make you sound fluent if you use it naturally. I started labeling things in my room with sticky notes. My mirror had a small paper saying mirror. My window had window. My chair had chair. My room slowly looked like an English playground. It made me laugh, but it also made me learn fast. When I saw the object, the word came to my mind automatically. I was training my brain without pressure. Learning words that belonged to my life made English feel personal. I was not learning random words like astronomy or politics. I was learning words that I could use right away. That made every practice feel meaningful. I didn't just study English, I lived it. I spoke it while cooking, cleaning, walking, and thinking. Sometimes I talked to myself using those words. I would say, I am cooking rice. I am drinking tea. I am reading a book. Those sentences were my practice, my progress, and my pride. I didn't need a partner, I was my own best partner. And that habit helped me grow faster than I imagined. There were moments when I forgot some words. At first, I got frustrated. But then I told myself, it's okay, I will remember next time. I learned to enjoy mistakes because they showed I was trying. Every mistake was proof that I was learning something new. The most beautiful part was how my world started to change. English was no longer a stranger, it became a part of everything I did. My mornings started with English, and my nights ended with English. I stopped thinking of it as a subject. It became my lifestyle. If you are learning English, look around you. Everything you see can teach you something. Don't wait for big books or perfect teachers. Start with your world. Start with your cup, your bag, your shoes, your kitchen, your thoughts. Because when English becomes part of your real life, it becomes part of you. That simple change of focus turned my learning journey into joy. It gave me power, peace, and progress. It taught me that the best English you can learn is the English that lives with you every single day. Chapter 5: Sentences Before Grammar. After learning simple words from my life, I made another big discovery. I realized that I didn't need to start with grammar rules. I needed to start with sentences. Grammar used to scare me. It felt too heavy, full of rules and confusing terms. Every time I opened a grammar book, I got stuck. I memorized the rules but forgot them when I tried to speak. That's when I told myself, I don't want to study English like a subject anymore. I want to speak it like a person. So I began learning sentences instead of grammar charts. I looked at how people spoke in real life. I listened carefully and wrote down small, useful sentences. How are you? I am fine. What are you doing? I am learning English. I like tea. I don't understand. These were short, but they were alive. I could use them anywhere. Every time I learned a new sentence, I used it while talking to myself or while chatting online. The more I repeated, the more natural it felt. That method changed my learning speed completely. Suddenly, I was not thinking about grammar rules. I was thinking about expressing myself. It felt more real. It felt more human. I realized that people speak to share feelings, not to show grammar knowledge. That understanding gave me freedom. I stopped being afraid of making mistakes. I started to enjoy communication. I remember one evening when I practiced in front of the mirror. I said, I am happy today. Then I said, I am tired. Then I changed it to, I am hungry. Just by changing one word, I could say many things. That made me excited. It was like unlocking a small secret of English. I understood that one structure can help me speak many sentences. I didn't need thousands of grammar rules, I just needed to know how to use simple patterns. I also noticed that when I used real sentences, I remembered words faster. Grammar books made me forget, but sentences made me remember, because they connected meaning with emotion. When I said, I am happy, I actually felt happy. When I said, I am learning, I felt proud. Feelings make learning powerful. They make your brain remember naturally. Sometimes I watched short dialogues and copied them. I repeated the same sentences again and again until they came out smoothly. I was not perfect, but I was improving. Slowly, I could speak small sentences without thinking too much. That was progress. I started to understand how English flows, how sentences connect, and how people really talk. After a few weeks, something amazing happened. I realized that grammar was hiding inside those sentences. When I kept repeating real examples, my brain started learning the grammar automatically. I could see patterns like, I am hap, you are, he is. I learned without memorizing. It was like discovering grammar in a natural way, not forcing it. That experience taught me a big lesson. You don't learn to swim by reading a book about swimming. You learn by jumping into the water. English is the same. You learn it by using it, by speaking it, by living it, not by waiting to be perfect. Many learners wait for the day they finish grammar before they start speaking. That day never comes. The secret is to start speaking now, with what you already know. The more you speak, the better your grammar becomes automatically. Practice is the real teacher. Every time I made a small sentence, I felt proud. It was like building a wall brick by brick. Small sentences made a big difference. And soon, I was no longer afraid of grammar. It became my friend. If you are learning English right now, start speaking in small sentences today. Don't wait for perfect grammar. Just express what you feel. Say, I like English. Say, I am learning. Say, I will speak better every day. These small sentences will take you far. Remember, communication comes before perfection. Fluency grows from courage, not from fear of mistakes. Grammar will follow you when you walk with confidence. And one day, you'll look back and realize that you didn't learn grammar first. You lived it through every sentence you spoke with courage. Chapter 6. Talking to myself every day. Talking to myself was the best decision I ever made in my English journey. It sounds funny, but it changed everything for me. In the beginning, I was too shy to speak in front of people. My tongue got heavy, my voice disappeared, and my brain went blank. But when I was alone, I could breathe. There was no fear, no one to laugh at my mistakes, so I began talking to myself in English. Slowly, softly. Just me and my thoughts. The first day felt strange. I looked in the mirror and said, hello, how are you today? Then I answered, I am fine, thank you. I smiled because it felt like a small conversation, even if it was just with me. I kept going. I said, I am learning English. I want to speak better. The words were simple, but they felt powerful. That moment gave me a new kind of confidence. I realized that I didn't need a perfect partner to practice. I could be my own teacher. Every morning, I made it my habit. Before checking my phone, I stood in front of the mirror and talked. I said things like, today will be a good day. I am improving my English. I will speak with confidence. Sometimes I described what I was doing. I am brushing my teeth. I am making tea. I am wearing my shoes. Those small sentences became my daily training. They built my fluency one word at a time. Talking to myself helped me think in English. At first, I translated from my native language, but slowly, English started coming naturally. I didn't have to think too much. The sentences began to flow. That was an amazing feeling. It felt like my brain was finally learning the rhythm of English. There were days when I didn't feel motivated. Some mornings I wanted to skip it, but I reminded myself why I started. I wanted to speak freely. I wanted to express my thoughts without fear. So I kept talking, even when I was tired, even when my pronunciation was wrong, because every time I practiced, I improved a little more. The mirror became my best friend. It didn't judge me, it only listened. It showed me my expressions, my confidence, and my energy. When I smiled at myself while speaking, I felt more alive. It was not just about language anymore, it was about believing in myself. Every word I spoke made me stronger. Sometimes I made mistakes and laughed at myself, but I never stopped. I would say, "It's okay. I am learning." That positive mindset helped me grow faster than any textbook. I didn't wait for a perfect accent or perfect grammar. I focused on expressing myself, and that made all the difference. With time, my self-talk sessions became longer. I started sharing my feelings with myself in English. I would say, "I feel happy today," or "I am a little sad," or "I am grateful for my progress." These small lines helped me connect with my emotions in a new language. English became part of my heart, not just my mouth. The more I talked to myself, the more natural it felt. I noticed that my hesitation started to disappear. My confidence grew every day. I no longer felt afraid of speaking in front of others because I had already practiced hundreds of times alone. My voice became stronger. My words came easily. Talking to yourself may sound simple, but it is one of the most powerful tools you can use. You can do it anytime and anywhere. You don't need a partner, internet, or class. You just need your voice and your belief. Speak about your day. Describe what you see. Ask yourself questions and answer them. Be your own conversation partner. That habit turned my fear into fluency. It made me fall in love with English. Every morning when I looked in the mirror, I didn't just see a learner. I saw someone who refused to give up. I saw growth. I saw change. If you ever feel alone on your journey, remember this. Your voice is enough. Talk to yourself. Encourage yourself. Teach yourself. The more you speak, the more fluent you become. The world will soon hear the voice that started quietly in your own room. Chapter 7: Shadowing My Heroes. One morning while watching an English video, I noticed something interesting. I was repeating words, but they didn't sound like the speaker. Their voice had rhythm. Their sentences had music. Mine felt flat and slow. That's when I discovered something that changed my English completely. It was called shadowing. It means to copy the speaker exactly as they talk. You listen and speak at the same time, like a shadow that never leaves its person. I didn't know it back then, but this small technique became one of the most powerful habits in my journey. The first time I tried shadowing, it was hard. I couldn't keep up. The speaker talked too fast. I missed many words. I got frustrated. But I didn't stop. I paused the video, went back, and tried again. Then again. I wanted to sound natural. I wanted to sound alive. Slowly, I began to match the speaker's rhythm. I learned how their voice went up and down, how they paused, how they smiled while speaking. It was not just about words anymore, it was about feeling the emotion behind every word. Every morning, I chose one short video. Sometimes it was a motivational speech, sometimes a movie clip. I listened once, then played it again, repeating every word along with the speaker. My tongue started to move faster. My ears started to hear details I never noticed before. The more I practiced, the more I started sounding like them. It felt magical. I remember one day I shadowed a famous English speaker. At first, I sounded funny. I laughed at myself. But when I compared my voice after a week of practice, I could hear a big difference. My pronunciation was clearer. My voice was more confident. My sentences flowed naturally. It felt like I was learning to dance with English. Every line had rhythm. Every word had energy. Shadowing made me realize that fluency is not only about grammar or vocabulary, it's about sound, tone, and confidence. When you shadow someone, you learn how English feels when spoken. You train your mouth, your ears, and your heart together. That's why it works so well. It teaches you to speak like native speakers, not just study like a student. Some days were difficult. My mouth felt tired. My voice cracked. But I didn't give up. I reminded myself that my heroes also started as beginners. They practiced for years to sound fluent. I told myself, if they can do it, I can too. And I kept shadowing. Every day for just 15 minutes. I did it while walking, cooking, or sitting quietly. English became the background music of my life. The best part was the confidence it gave me. When I spoke to others, my voice no longer trembled. I sounded more natural. People started noticing the change. They asked, "How did your English improve so fast?" I smiled and said, "I shadow my heroes." It made me proud to know that my practice was paying off. I learned that shadowing is not just imitation, it's transformation. It makes you feel connected to the language. It teaches you to speak from your soul, not from memory. It helps you understand emotion, rhythm, and confidence all at once. If you are learning English right now, try this. Choose your favorite English speaker. Play their video and repeat every line with them. Don't worry if you make mistakes, just keep going. You will sound awkward at first, but every day you'll improve a little more. Soon you'll feel the change. Your voice will grow stronger. Your sentences will sound smoother. Shadowing taught me that your voice is your power. It doesn't matter where you start. What matters is how much heart you put into every word. So, find your English hero and speak with them. Let their voice become your teacher. Let their rhythm become your rhythm. That's how I found my confidence. That's how I turned listening into speaking. And one day, without realizing it, I became someone else's hero too. Because when you shadow your heroes long enough, you slowly become one yourself. Chapter 8: Making English Part of My Day. The biggest change in my journey came when I stopped treating English as a subject and started living it as a part of my day. Before that, English felt like homework. I used to open my notebook, study for a while, and close it again. But nothing really changed. Then one day I thought, what if I make English a part of everything I do? Not for 1 hour, not just when I study, but all day in small, simple ways. That single idea changed everything for me. The first thing I did was change my phone's language to English. At first, it was strange. I didn't understand all the settings. I clicked the wrong things many times. But slowly, I started to learn new words. Words like settings, battery, update, storage, brightness. These were not from a book. They came from my real life. Every time I used my phone, I learned something new. My world started to feel like an English world. Then I started listening to English while doing daily activities. When I cooked, I played English podcasts. When I cleaned, I listened to motivational videos. When I walked, I listened to songs in English. Even if I didn't understand everything, I didn't stop. English was becoming the background of my life. It was everywhere. And because of that, it started to feel natural. I also made a rule for myself. Every time I wanted to think about something, I would try to think in English. At first, it was slow and funny. I translated everything in my head. But after some time, my brain started to respond faster. I began thinking in English without even trying. It became a habit. It became part of my thinking, part of my identity. Another thing that helped me was using English for small tasks. When I made a to-do list, I wrote it in English. When I talked to myself about my goals, I spoke in English. Even when I prayed or made wishes, sometimes I used English words. It made me feel like I was not just learning a language, I was living it. At night before sleeping, I used to watch short English videos. Sometimes they were about travel, sometimes about success, sometimes simple stories. Those videos became my last thought of the day, and when I woke up, I continued again. It felt like English was walking with me from morning to night. This daily connection made a big difference. My confidence grew because I was no longer waiting for a special study time. Every moment became learning time. English was not locked inside books anymore. It was in my phone, my music, my thoughts, and my conversations. I was living inside English. There were still hard days. Some days I felt tired or lazy. But I reminded myself of one thing. Fluency is not built in one day. It's built in small moments repeated again and again. Even a 5-minute practice every day is better than one big study once a week. Small steps every day can take you anywhere. And I saw results. I started understanding English videos faster. I started replying to comments in English online. I felt proud when I realized that I was actually living in English. It was not a dream anymore. It was real. Making English part of my daily life taught me something deep. You don't need to study harder. You just need to stay closer to English. Surround yourself with it until it feels like a friend. Let it be in your ears, in your eyes, and in your heart. If you do that, you will never forget what you learn, because it becomes part of who you are. That's the real secret. Make English your daily habit. Let it live with you. Talk to it. Listen to it. Write in it. Feel it. The more you live with English, the faster English will live in you. Chapter 9: Mistakes that taught me more than books. There was a time when every mistake felt like a failure. Whenever I said something wrong, I felt embarrassed. I used to think, maybe I'm not good enough to learn English. That thought used to hurt me deeply. But one day, something inside me changed. I realized that mistakes were not my enemies, they were my teachers. And from that day, my learning became faster, deeper, and more enjoyable than ever before. In the beginning, I made mistakes every single day. I said words incorrectly. I used wrong tenses. Sometimes people didn't understand what I said. Sometimes they even smiled or laughed. It hurt. But I told myself, they are not laughing at me, they are laughing at the moment. I decided that I would not let those small moments stop my big dream. Every mistake became a lesson. Every wrong sentence became a new direction. One day, I said, I am agree instead of I agree. Someone corrected me. At first, I felt shy. But then I smiled and said thank you. That simple correction stayed in my head forever. I never forgot it again. That's the magic of mistakes. When you make one, it stays in your memory more strongly than any rule in a book. I realize that children learn exactly like that. They make mistakes all the time. They fall, they mispronounce, they say funny things. But they don't stop. They laugh and try again. And one day they speak perfectly. That's how I wanted to learn too. I wanted to learn with courage, not fear. I wanted to learn like a child again. Some days I wrote my thoughts in English and later found many errors. But instead of feeling bad, I celebrated them. I thought, look how much I'm trying. Look how many things I'm learning. My notebook was full of red marks. But to me, those marks were not signs of failure. They were signs of growth. They were proof that I was moving forward. Making mistakes also helped me remember that English is a language for communication, not for perfection. People don't care if your grammar is perfect. They care if they can understand you. They care if you speak with confidence and emotion. Once I understood that, I started speaking freely. I stopped waiting for the perfect words. I used the words I knew and improved from there. There was one day when I had a full conversation with a foreigner online. I made so many grammar mistakes, but they understood everything. At the end, they said, "Your English is getting better." That one compliment felt like gold. It reminded me that progress matters more than perfection. Now, when I make a mistake, I smile, because I know I just discovered something new. I no longer hide from errors, I welcome them. Every wrong word teaches me a right one. Every moment of confusion gives me a chance to grow stronger. The truth is, mistakes are the real classrooms of life. If you are learning English right now, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Speak with courage. Write without fear. Every mistake you make today will build your confidence tomorrow. Remember, the only mistake that stops you is the one you are too afraid to make. Books can teach you rules, but mistakes teach you understanding. Books tell you what's right, but mistakes show you why it's right. That's why I say mistakes are better than books. They shape you, they guide you, and they build you. Whenever you feel embarrassed after making a mistake, just remember me. I was once afraid too, but I turned every mistake into a teacher, and that made me fluent faster than I ever imagined. So keep going. Speak, write, try, fail, learn, repeat. That's how real English learners are made. One day, you'll look back and smile at the mistakes that made you strong. You'll realize they were never failures. They were steps on your path to fluency. And that's when you'll know that every single mistake was worth it. Chapter 10: Thinking in English, Not Translating. There was a time when every English word in my mind had to pass through another language first. I used to hear something in English, quickly translate it into my language, understand it, and then think of a reply. It took time. It was slow. And by the time I was ready to answer, the conversation had already moved on. I felt stuck between two worlds. I knew the words, but I couldn't think fast enough. One day I decided to change that. I made a promise to myself I will start thinking in English. At first, it sounded impossible. How can someone think in a language they are still learning? But I realized that thinking in English is not about being perfect. It's about training your brain to stop depending on translation. So I started small. I didn't wait for the right moment. I started with my everyday thoughts. When I woke up, I said in my mind, I am getting up now. When I brushed my teeth, I said, I am brushing my teeth. When I made tea, I thought, I like this smell. It was simple, but it worked. In the beginning, it was not easy. My brain wanted to go back to my native language again and again. But I gently pulled it back. I said to myself, no, think in English. Slowly, my mind began to understand. It was like building a new road inside my brain. Each sentence I thought was like a small stone on that road, and with time, that road became stronger. After a few weeks, something beautiful started happening. I no longer needed to translate everything. Some English words began to appear naturally in my mind. When I saw a tree, I didn't think of it in my language. I just thought, tree. When someone asked a question, my mind started forming the answer directly in English. That was an amazing feeling. It was freedom. Thinking in English changed my confidence completely. I didn't feel like a student anymore. I felt like someone who actually lived with the language. It made me faster in speaking, quicker in understanding, and calmer in conversation. I stopped worrying about mistakes because my brain was learning to connect words with meaning directly. I remember one day when I watched a short English video. For the first time, I understood it without translating a single sentence. I smiled because it felt like my brain had finally opened its English door. That moment gave me hope that I was becoming fluent. I realized that translation was a bridge, but thinking in English was flying. To help myself think in English, I also started talking to myself in my head. When I walked, I thought, it's a sunny day. When I cooked, I thought, the food smells nice. When I saw a beautiful place, I said, wow, that's amazing. These small lines made my brain active in English. I was training it without pressure. Sometimes I made mistakes in my mind too, but that didn't matter. No one could hear me. It was my private classroom. Every thought was a practice. Every line made me stronger. Thinking in English also helped me dream in English. The first time I had a small dream in English, I woke up smiling. I felt proud. That was a sign that English had finally entered my subconscious. It was not just something I studied anymore, it was something I lived. If you want to become fluent, stop translating. It slows you down. It keeps you stuck in your old language. Start small. Describe your day in English. Ask yourself simple questions. Say short thoughts in your mind. Make English part of your thinking. The more you do this, the more natural it becomes. Fluency is not about knowing big words. It's about thinking simply and clearly in English. When you can think in it, you can speak it. You can feel it. And that's when you truly become fluent. So don't wait for the perfect day to start. Begin today. Even one thought in English is a good beginning. Keep practicing. Keep training your brain. One day, English will not just be your second language. It will be the language of your thoughts, your dreams, and your confidence. And that day will feel like magic. Chapter 11: Confidence Changed My Life. When I first started learning English, I thought fluency came from perfect grammar and big vocabulary. But I was wrong. True fluency came from something much deeper. It came from confidence. Confidence was the real bridge between my fear and my freedom. Without it, my words stayed trapped inside my mind. But with it, they started to flow like water. The day I realized that, everything began to change for me. Confidence didn't come suddenly. It came slowly, like sunrise after a long dark night. In the beginning, I was afraid of speaking. I thought people would laugh at my accent or my mistakes. Many times I stayed quiet even when I knew the right words. My heart wanted to speak, but my fear stopped me. One day I looked at myself in the mirror and said, if I don't believe in my own English, who will? That simple question shook me. It made me see that I had to believe in myself before anyone else did. So I started practicing confidence every single day. I talked to myself in English loudly. I made eye contact with my reflection and spoke with power. Sometimes I felt silly, but I reminded myself that great things often begin in small, funny moments. Slowly, my voice became stronger. My fear began to fade. One day, I was watching an English video, and I repeated after the speaker confidently. I didn't care about my accent. I just focused on my energy. I realized that confidence doesn't mean you are perfect. It means you are brave enough to try. It means you keep going even when you are unsure. That mindset gave me wings. I started joining small conversations online. The first few times I made many mistakes, but I smiled and kept going. The people I spoke with didn't care about my errors. They cared about my enthusiasm. That surprised me. I understood that people don't judge you as much as you think. Most of them actually respect your effort. That discovery made my confidence grow even faster. Soon, English became something I enjoyed, not something I feared. Every time I spoke, I felt proud. Every time I made a mistake, I laughed instead of feeling ashamed. I started to celebrate progress instead of perfection. My voice no longer trembled. My hands no longer shook. I was not just speaking English anymore. I was expressing myself freely. Confidence opened many doors for me. I could talk to new people, share my thoughts, and connect with the world. I watched movies without subtitles and felt amazed that I understood. I started reading English books out loud. I joined discussions. And for the first time, I didn't feel like an outsider. I felt like I belonged. The best part was how confidence changed not just my English, but my entire personality. I became more positive, more patient, and more courageous. I stopped comparing myself to others. I realized everyone has their own pace. The moment you believe in your voice, your journey becomes faster and brighter. One day, a friend asked me, "How did you become so fluent?" I smiled and said, "I stopped being afraid." That was the truth. Confidence gave me the courage to make mistakes, to speak without fear, and to grow every single day. If you are learning English now, remember this: confidence is more important than perfect grammar. Believe in your voice. Speak with heart. Don't wait until you feel ready, because confidence is built by doing, not waiting. Every word you speak adds strength to your voice. You don't have to be perfect to be confident. You just have to be brave enough to speak anyway. Confidence turns your fear into power. It makes your English come alive. And once you have that confidence, nothing can stop your progress. When you start believing in yourself, people will start believing in you too. That's how I changed my life. Not by learning faster, not by speaking perfectly, but by trusting my own voice. And you can do it too. Chapter 12, You Can Do It in 5 Months Too. When I look back at my journey, I still feel amazed. 5 months felt short, but those months changed everything about me. I began as someone who couldn't say a full sentence. I ended as someone who could think, speak, and live in English. I learned one truth through this journey: anyone can do it. Yes, even you. No matter your age, your accent, or your level, you can do it too. The only thing you need is the decision to start and the courage to keep going. Many people think English takes years to learn. That's not true. What takes years is waiting, doubting, and hesitating. Once you truly start, once you give your heart to it, progress comes faster than you can imagine. I am living proof of that. I didn't have perfect tools. I didn't have special classes. But I had one thing that changed my life: consistency. I practiced every day, even when I didn't feel ready, and that made all the difference. There were many moments when I wanted to give up. I felt tired, confused, and lost. Some days I thought, maybe English is not for me. But then I remembered why I started. I wanted to change my life. I wanted to open new doors. So I took a deep breath and said to myself, keep going. Every time I fell, I stood up again. Every small effort built my strength. Every little step took me closer to fluency. You don't need to study 10 hours a day to learn English in 5 months. You just need to make it part of your life. Speak to yourself every morning. Listen to English before you sleep. Write your thoughts in simple sentences. Watch videos and repeat what you hear. Make English your friend. Make it part of your daily world. Those small habits create big results. When I started, I couldn't understand most of what I heard. But by the second month, I could catch more words. By the third month, I was speaking to myself confidently. By the fourth, I could join conversations online. And by the fifth month, I realized that English was no longer just something I studied. It was part of who I was. That feeling is something you will never forget. Don't compare your journey to anyone else's. Everyone learns differently. Some people learn fast, others slow, but all can reach the same goal. The key is to stay consistent. Even if you learn one sentence a day, you are still moving forward. Every small action builds your confidence and brings you closer to fluency. Remember, the first step is the hardest, but after that, everything becomes easier. Once you start, your brain begins to adapt. Your ears start to understand. Your tongue starts to move more naturally. One day, you'll speak without thinking. That's when you'll know you've made it. 5 months can change your life if you give your best. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be passionate. You just need to believe that you can do it. Because the truth is, you can. You can learn English. You can speak fluently. You can express yourself with confidence. You just have to start today, not tomorrow. Imagine yourself 5 months from now. Imagine watching this video again and understanding every single word. Imagine speaking to people in English with no fear. Imagine how proud you will feel. That future is waiting for you, but it begins with one small decision right now. So don't say, I can't. Say, I can and I will. Don't say, it's too late. Say, it's my time now, because it truly is your time. If I could learn in 5 months, so can you. You have everything you need inside you already. Just take that first step and keep walking. And one day, you'll tell your story too. You'll inspire someone else. You'll look back and smile, knowing that you didn't just learn English, you changed your life. And that will be your proudest achievement. If this story made you believe you can learn English too, then don't wait for tomorrow. Start today, even with one sentence. Comment below, what's your biggest challenge in English? I'll reply to help you personally. And before you go, click subscribe and like this video, because every week I share real stories and simple methods that can change your English forever. Remember, 5 months can change your life, but only if you start today.